never get back. Why do you let hesitation steal your dreams? Procrastination isn't just a delay, it's a thief robbing you of your potential. But you can break free. How? By mastering decisive action one step at a time. Imagine the power of finishing what you start, the momentum of progress fueling your success. Will you keep watching time slip by or claim your destiny right now? In a few moments, you'll discover the secret to defeating procrastination once and for all. Learn how to break free from hesitation. Take decisive action and transform your life with unstoppable momentum. How procrastination steals more than just time. Procrastination is not just a thief of time, it is the silent assassin of dreams, the invisible hand that steals your ambition and shackles you to mediocrity. You tell yourself that tomorrow will be the day, that next week things will change, but you know deep down that time waits for no one. But why does procrastination have such a firm grip on your life? It's because it's easy. It's comfortable. The mind craves safety, and nothing is safer than standing still. But comfort is the enemy of progress. Every moment you delay, you are silently choosing comfort over growth, and that choice adds up day by day, until years have slipped by and the life you wanted is nothing more than a distant echo of what could have been. But there is a way out. You must first understand that procrastination is a mindset. It is a mental habit that can be broken with consistent action. Start with one task you've been avoiding. Write it down, look at it, and do it now. Not tomorrow, not later, right now. Action is the only cure for delay. Action is the only weapon that can slay the beast of procrastination. Think back to the life of Samuel Insull, the British-born American businessman who was instrumental in creating an electricity grid for the United States. Born in 1859, Insull moved to America to work for Thomas Edison and built an empire through sheer action and relentless focus. Insull understood that time was his greatest asset, and he wielded it with precision. His empire was not built on dreams, it was built on action. But now, I ask you, how much longer will you wait? How many dreams will you sacrifice to the hands of procrastination? If not now, then when? If not you, then who? Why, every moment matters more than you think. Time slips through our fingers like invisible sand. Unlike money, which we count and save with careful attention, time vanishes without a tangible trace. Yet this currency, the seconds, minutes, and hours of our lives, holds value beyond any material wealth we might accumulate. Every moment that passes is irretrievable. While we can earn more money, recover from failures, and rebuild what's broken, we cannot reclaim a single second once it's gone. This simple truth should transform how we approach each day. Yet most of us live as though time were infinite. Andrew Carnegie, born into poverty in 1835, the Scottish immigrant understood time's true value from an early age. While others squandered hours, Carnegie invested each moment toward building his future. By 30, he had already established himself as a formidable force in the steel industry. His extraordinary rise from penniless immigrant to one of America's wealthiest men wasn't merely the product of talent or circumstance. It was the compound interest on his time investments. Carnegie recognized what most fail to see. Time is the great equalizer. Each person, regardless of wealth or status, receives the same 24 hours daily. The difference lies in how we utilize this universal allocation. Those who achieve remarkable success aren't given extra hours. They simply extract maximum value from each moment they possess. How might your life transform if you treated each hour as precious? Imagine approaching every day as though it were your final opportunity to advance toward your dreams. Procrastination loses its seductive power when you truly grasp that the clock isn't merely measuring your day, it's counting down your life. The most profound time wisdom comes from understanding that life isn't measured in years, but in moments of presence. A single hour of focused work, genuine connection, or creative flow often contributes more to our legacy than days of distracted existence. Every moment matters, because collectively, these moments are your life. How will you spend the currency of your remaining hours? Why, it's the greatest lie you tell yourself. The most dangerous deception isn't the one others tell you, it's the one you whisper to yourself each time you delay action. Procrastination doesn't arrive with warning signs. Instead, it seduces you with comforting rationalizations that feel like wisdom but function as poison. I'll start tomorrow. I need more information before beginning. I work better under pressure. The timing isn't quite right. These statements sound reasonable, even responsible, yet they represent the sophisticated architecture of self-sabotage that prevents achievement long before external obstacles appear. This internal deception system operates with remarkable efficiency because it targets your vulnerabilities. It knows precisely when to offer relief from discomfort, when to suggest that waiting is prudent rather than paralyzing, and when to convince you that hesitation is actually preparation. James J. Hill, the visionary who transformed America's Northwest through sheer determination. Born in 1838, Hill didn't wait for perfect economic conditions or government backing to pursue his railway ambitions. While competitors sought federal subsidies and optimal circumstances, Hill moved forward, constructing the Great Northern Railway through challenging terrain when conventional wisdom counseled patience. Hill understood a fundamental truth. Waiting is rarely about preparation. It's about fear disguised as prudence. He recognized that someday is where dreams go to expire quietly, without the discomfort of failure, but also without the possibility of triumph. What separates those who achieve from those who merely aspire isn't talent or luck. It's their relationship with time and discomfort. Achievement requires confronting the uncomfortable reality that beginning is always harder than planning to begin. The moment of initiation brings resistance, uncertainty, and the possibility of inadequacy into sharp focus. To break free from procrastination's hypnotic grip, you must first identify its specific language in your life. What particular lies does it tell you? Which excuses have you elevated to the status of legitimate reasons? The procrastination that plagues a perfectionist differs from that affecting someone fearing failure, yet both function with equal destructiveness. Try this experiment. Write down every reason you haven't started your most important project. Then question each one mercilessly. Is it really true that you need more information? Or is information gathering simply a comfortable substitute for action? Do you genuinely work better under pressure? Or have you simply never experienced the power of methodical progress without artificial urgency? Your answers will reveal the intricate web of self-deception that has become so familiar you no longer recognize it as fiction. The remedy begins with radical honesty. Acknowledge that procrastination isn't a work style or personality trait. It's a protection mechanism against discomfort. Once recognized, you can implement strategic countermeasures, breaking tasks into smaller components, creating immediate consequences for inaction, or establishing accountability structures that override internal resistance. The answers might terrify you, which means they're probably true. How procrastination drains your wealth and success. The ledger of your life contains two columns, what you've accomplished and what you've postponed. While we meticulously track our financial accounts, few of us calculate the staggering cost of delay, the invisible tax we pay when opportunity passes while we remain in preparation mode. Procrastination extracts its toll not in dramatic, obvious ways, but through the quiet accumulation of unrealized potential. Consider the investment account never opened, the business idea never launched, the skill never developed, the connection never made. Each represents not merely a missed opportunity, but compound interest forever lost. When you delay action by just one day, you sacrifice more than 24 hours. You forfeit the momentum, learning, and progress that would have generated exponential returns. This mathematics of missed opportunity rarely appears in financial statements, yet it determines the ultimate balance of your success account more decisively than any other factor. Jay Gould, the controversial yet undeniably successful railroad magnate born in 1836, understood this principle intuitively. Despite humble beginnings, Gould recognized that hesitation was a luxury he couldn't afford. While others analyzed market conditions endlessly, Gould moved decisively, identifying opportunities in the railroad industry that others overlooked or were too cautious to pursue. His approach wasn't reckless, it was pragmatic. He understood that perfect information and ideal conditions are theoretical concepts that rarely materialize in the real world. By the time consensus emerges about an opportunity's viability, its highest return period has typically passed. Gould's fortune, among the largest of America's Gilded Age, wasn't built through superior resources, but through superior timing and the courage to act while others deliberated. The wealth-draining power of procrastination operates through three primary mechanisms. Breaking procrastination's wealth-draining cycle begins with recognizing that action itself is a form of capital, one that generates returns through experience, feedback, and momentum. Even imperfect action creates value through learning, while perfect plans without implementation remain perpetually worthless. Track your delay cost by estimating the value lost through postponed decisions. What would that business idea have generated if launched last year? What salary increase would that certification have created if completed 6 months ago? These calculations create powerful motivation by making procrastination's price tag visible. How to conquer procrastination with the power of decision. Procrastination dissolves the moment you make a genuine decision, not the half commitments we often mistake for decisions. I'll try, or I hope to, or I plan on, but the irrevocable kind that eliminates all other options and makes retreat impossible. True decision possesses a finality that transforms your relationship with action. The word itself reveals this power. Decision comes from the Latin decidere, meaning to cut off. When you decide, you sever alternative paths, channeling all your energy in one direction, rather than dispersing it across many possibilities. This concentrated focus explains why decisive people accomplish what others merely contemplate. They aren't necessarily more talented or resourceful. They've simply reduced the internal friction that paralyzes most of us between contemplation and action. Herbert Hoover exemplified this decisive approach long before becoming America's 31st president. Born in 1874 and orphaned at 9, Hoover could have easily surrendered to circumstance. Instead, he made uncompromising decisions that propelled him forward. As a mining engineer, he transformed failing operations into profitable ventures through swift, clear-minded choices when others hesitated. During World War I, Hoover's decisive leadership saved millions from starvation through the Commission for Relief in Belgium. When conventional wisdom suggested waiting for better conditions or more resources, Hoover created solutions through immediate action, orchestrating complex food delivery systems across war-torn regions when others saw only insurmountable obstacles. Hoover understood what psychology now confirms. Decisiveness creates its own momentum. Each decision strengthens your decision-making muscle, while indecision atrophies it. The more you practice decisive action, the more naturally it comes, and the less power procrastination holds over you. To harness this transformative power, begin with decision clarity. Vague intentions breed hesitation, while specific commitments demand action. Replace "I should exercise more" with "I will walk for 30 minutes every morning at 7 o'clock a.m. starting tomorrow." The specificity creates accountability and eliminates the decision fatigue that fuels procrastination. Next, create decision consequences. When Cortez burned his ships upon reaching the New World, he eliminated retreat as an option for his men. Similarly, you can create conditions where following through becomes easier than backing out. Paying for annual gym memberships, announcing goals publicly, or establishing accountability partnerships. Perhaps most importantly, practice decisiveness in small matters to build capacity for larger ones. Decision-making is a skill that strengthens with use. Begin with minor choices: what to wear, where to eat, which task to tackle first, making them quickly without second-guessing. This builds the neural pathways that make decisive action your default response. When procrastination tempts you, remember, indecision is a decision, the decision to remain exactly where you are. Every moment spent in hesitation is a vote for the status quo and against your potential. The transformation of willpower. Willpower isn't a trait bestowed at birth, but a capacity developed through deliberate practice. The misconception that some people naturally possess extraordinary self-discipline, while others don't, has prevented countless individuals from developing this crucial ability. This fixed mindset becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Believing willpower is unchangeable guarantees it remains undeveloped. Science confirms what history's achievers have always demonstrated. Willpower functions like a muscle, strengthening with use and atrophying with neglect. Neurologically, each act of self-discipline reinforces neural pathways, making subsequent acts of discipline progressively easier. What initially requires enormous effort eventually becomes second nature through this biological transformation. George Westinghouse embodied this progressive strengthening of willpower throughout his remarkable career. Born in 1846, Westinghouse began developing his discipline in his father's agricultural machinery shop before serving in the Civil War. Each challenge he overcame, from creating a safer railroad braking system to revolutionizing the electrical industry, built upon previously developed reserves of determination. When Westinghouse championed alternating current, AC, against Thomas Edison's direct current, DC, he faced not merely technical challenges, but a powerful opponent willing to electrocute animals publicly to discredit AC power. Lesser individuals would have abandoned the fight, but Westinghouse's previously strengthened willpower allowed him to persist through this war of currents, despite financial strain and public relations attack. His ultimate triumph wasn't merely technological. It represented the culmination of willpower consistently applied across decades. The electrical system powering our modern world exists largely because one man's disciplined persistence outlasted another's opposition. The transformation of your own willpower begins with understanding its progressive nature. Start with challenges slightly beyond your current capacity, difficult enough to require effort, but achievable enough to build confidence. The specific domain matters less than the consistent practice of choosing long-term benefits over immediate gratification. Begin each morning with a small act of discipline, perhaps making your bed, completing a brief workout, or spending 15 minutes on your most important project before checking messages. These seemingly insignificant actions create momentum that carries into larger challenges throughout the day. Track your willpower wins, however modest. The visible record of your growing discipline becomes powerful motivation during inevitable periods of resistance. Remember that willpower depletion is temporary. Research shows that simply believing your willpower is unlimited significantly increases your capacity for sustained effort. Strategic rest enhances willpower rather than diminishing it. Schedule brief recovery periods between demanding tasks, as elite athletes do between training sessions. This prevents the burnout that often masquerades as permanent willpower failure. Perhaps most importantly, connect your discipline to deeper meaning. Westinghouse didn't merely sell electrical systems. He envisioned transforming human potential through accessible energy. When willpower serves something larger than momentary comfort, its capacity expands exponentially. How procrastination masquerades as safety. Procrastination's most dangerous disguise is its appearance as prudent caution. It whispers seductively that delay is wise, that by postponing action, you're gathering information, mitigating risks, and protecting yourself from potential failure. This deception transforms procrastination from acknowledged weakness into perceived virtue. The safety procrastination promises is entirely illusory. Rather than protecting you from danger, it guarantees harm through opportunity loss, skill stagnation, and the accumulation of unfulfilled potential. The comfort it offers is temporary and ultimately hollow, much like an anesthetic that removes the pain while the underlying condition worsens. William Mulholland's transformation of Los Angeles through water infrastructure illustrates the false security of procrastination. Born in 1855, Mulholland rose from ditch digger to self-taught engineer through persistent action when others hesitated. When Los Angeles faced devastating water shortages in the early 900s, Mulholland envisioned and executed the 233-mile Los Angeles Aqueduct, a project of unprecedented scale that many experts deemed impossible. Had Mulholland yielded to the safety procrastination promised, Waiting for perfect conditions, complete information, or universal approval, Los Angeles would never have developed into the metropolis it became. Instead, he recognized that the greater risk lay not in action, but in delay. While caution dictated that a self-educated engineer should never attempt such an ambitious project, Mulholland understood that genuine safety came through addressing the city's water crisis directly, not avoiding the challenge. The safety illusion thrives on cognitive distortions that feel rational in the moment. When we postpone difficult conversations, challenging projects, or significant changes, we tell ourselves we're being prudent, preparing more thoroughly, or waiting for better timing. The mind rarely acknowledges the greater dangers of continued inaction. Breaking procrastination's false safety spell requires recognizing its distinctive language. Phrases like, "I just need to do more research," "I'm not quite ready yet," or "the timing isn't optimal," often mask fear rather than indicate genuine preparation. Test each delay justification by asking, "Would I give this same advice to someone I care about?" The answer often reveals procrastination's deception. The antidote begins with reframing action as the true safety mechanism. Starting imperfectly creates feedback that guides improvement, while perfectionist delay prevents the very learning needed for success. Ironically, those who act despite feeling unprepared typically achieve competence faster than those who wait until they feel fully ready. Ask yourself honestly, what opportunity costs am I bearing in exchange for the illusion of safety? What skills remain undeveloped, relationships unformed, or contributions unmade because I've confused comfort with security? The most dangerous risk isn't failure. It's the slow decay of potential through persistent delay. True safety comes not from avoiding challenges, but from developing the capacity to meet them effectively. Like Mulholland, who transformed a city through water when others saw only insurmountable obstacles, your greatest security lies in action that procrastination disguised as safety would prevent. Why starting small is the secret to big achievements. Monumental achievements rarely begin with monumental actions. Instead, they emerge from humble beginnings, small, unremarkable steps that, viewed individually, appear insignificant. This counterintuitive truth explains why many never achieve their ambitions. They wait for the dramatic opportunity rather than embracing the power of modest beginnings. The psychology behind this reluctance is revealing. The gap between current reality and ambitious goals creates cognitive dissonance that triggers procrastination. Our minds prefer the comfort of planning grand ventures someday over taking small, imperfect actions today. We tell ourselves we'll start when conditions improve, when we have more resources, when we feel more confident, effectively surrendering our progress to circumstances beyond our control. Edwin C. Barnes's journey illustrates the transformative power of starting small, without guarantees. Born in 1870 with no connections, money, or special advantages, Barnes set his sights on partnering with Thomas Edison, America's premier inventor. Instead of waiting until he had impressive credentials, Barnes simply showed up at Edison's laboratory. His first position was menial, far from the partnership he envisioned. Many would have found this humbling beginning beneath them, but Barnes recognized it for what it was, not his destination, but his entry point. From this modest position, he demonstrated exceptional work ethic, absorbed everything about Edison's business, and gradually made himself indispensable. Eventually, Barnes became Edison's exclusive marketer for the Ediphone dictation machine, transforming both men's fortunes. His success didn't come from starting big, it came from starting at all, and then building methodically from that foundation. The science behind starting small is compelling. Research on habit formation shows that tiny actions bypass the brain's resistance mechanisms. When we commit to actions so small they seem almost trivial, reading one page instead of a chapter, doing one push-up instead of 20, writing one paragraph instead of an essay, we eliminate the psychological barriers that prevent initiation. These micro-commitments create momentum that naturally expands over time. The writer who commits to one sentence often completes a paragraph. The entrepreneur who makes one sales call frequently continues to the second and third. Starting small doesn't mean staying small. It means creating the initial movement that overcomes inertia. This approach also accelerates learning through rapid feedback cycles. When you take small actions daily rather than major actions occasionally, you gather more data points about what works. Each minor step becomes a learning opportunity that refines your approach, gradually increasing your efficiency and effectiveness. To implement this principle, identify the smallest possible action that moves you toward your goal. For a business, it might be making one sales call daily. The action should be so modest that it feels almost impossible to refuse. Then establish triggers that automatically initiate these actions. A specific time, location, or preceding action that signals it's time to begin. This environmental design removes the need for willpower and decision-making, further reducing resistance. Track your small actions visually, creating a chain of consistency that becomes increasingly difficult to break. This visible progress provides immediate psychological reinforcement even when tangible results remain distant. How consistency turns time into an ally. Time moves with perfect democracy, distributing exactly 24 hours daily to every living person, regardless of wealth, status, or ambition. Yet some transform these identical hours into extraordinary achievement, while others find the same allotment inadequate for even modest progress. The difference isn't time itself, but how consistently it's harnessed. Consistency transforms time from a neutral force into a powerful multiplier through a mechanism as reliable as compound interest. Just as money grows exponentially when interest generates further interest, consistent actions create results that themselves produce accelerating returns. This compounding effect explains why achievements often appear to materialize suddenly after long periods of apparent stagnation. Few understood this principle better than Hetty Green, the remarkable financier born in 1834, who became America's wealthiest woman, despite operating in the male-dominated world of 19th century finance. Nicknamed the Witch of Wall Street for her austere habits and unconventional approaches, Green built her fortune not through spectacular single investments, but through the relentless application of sound principles across decades. While contemporary financiers chased dramatic market plays and speculative opportunities, Green maintained unwavering consistency. She invested methodically during market downturns when others panicked. She conducted thorough research when others relied on rumors. She maintained cash reserves when others overextended. None of these actions appeared remarkable in isolation, but their consistency across 50 years transformed modest wealth into a fortune exceeding $100 million. 0 cents. Green's success reveals consistency's hidden power. It doesn't merely accumulate results, it fundamentally alters possibility. Her steady approach meant she had capital available during panics when assets were undervalued, creating opportunities inaccessible to less consistent investors. Her reliability made her a preferred lender when credit markets froze. Consistency didn't just build her wealth, it created unique advantages unavailable to erratic competitors. The neurological basis for consistency's effectiveness lies in how it reshapes brain architecture. Repeated actions establish neural pathways that become increasingly efficient with use. What initially requires conscious effort gradually becomes automatic, dramatically reducing the energy required for continued performance. This explains why those who maintain consistent habits eventually find them easier than inconsistency. Their brains have literally restructured to facilitate these patterns. Harnessing consistency requires understanding its paradoxical nature. While consistency's rewards are extraordinary, the actions producing them appear ordinary, often disappointing those seeking immediate validation. This mismatch between unremarkable daily inputs and remarkable long-term outputs creates a motivational challenge that derails most consistency attempts. Overcome this by implementing commitment devices that maintain consistency regardless of motivation fluctuations. These might include accountability partners, habit tracking systems, environmental design changes, or identity-based commitments that frame consistency as an expression of who you are rather than what you do. Equally important is selecting consistency targets wisely. The compounding power works identically for positive and negative patterns. Consistent learning compounds into expertise. Consistent complaining compounds into chronic negativity. Choose carefully what you repeat, recognizing that consistency amplifies whatever it touches. Start with a single daily action so modest that maintaining it feels almost trivially easy. This minimum viable consistency creates the foundation for more ambitious patterns. Track this action visually, creating a feedback loop that makes your consistency tangible and reinforcing. How to take back your time and focus. In an age of unprecedented distraction, your ability to focus has become your scarcest and most valuable resource. While time remains fixed at 24 hours daily, the quality of those hours determined by your focus varies dramatically. The modern environment, engineered specifically to fragment attention, ensures that those who cannot protect their focus inevitably surrender their most valuable.